Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune. Wow, this year sucked.
You said your phone was broken, just forgot to charge it.
After the crown jewel that was 2024, at least when it came to charting music, 2025 was the kind of year that reminds you that music is usually about a year behind the zeitgeist. With the state of the current global economy and fascism on the rise, I predict that 2026 is going to be an amazing year. But for the most part, 2025 just felt like a restless shrug in the face of everything wrong. A forced smile in the vain hope that things would slowly get better, and they did not. This year was so bad that both Morgan Wallen and NF dropped full albums this year, and neither of them even touched this list. Think about that. And if I'm coming across as a bit bitter, well, yeah, my own year wasn't that great either. And even in all the good moments, somebody I knew was always going through something shitty. So if it occasionally feels like I'm venting my anger at these songs in a format that ultimately doesn't matter, well, now you have some context. As is, let's all process our rage together, shall we? As we count down...
My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
The top 10 worst songs of 2025. Number 10.
We do have some breaking news coming into our newsroom right now. Charlie Kirk.
This year, a certain event divided the internet and American Democrats, while uniting the right-wing media behind a clear banner, as they moved to whitewash the life of a man whose death benefited them more than his life ever could.
If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman.
And it was around this time that this song, which had been bubbling under for a few months, came onto my radar as it started to rise again, as the unlikely soundtrack to many people's grief. And it feels a bit tone deaf, right?
Oh Lord, I need you now more than ever. Would you put my heart back together?
Don't misunderstand me, as somebody not living in the US, I shed no tears for Charlie Kirk. But for all the people who were being called out as heartless or cruel online, doesn't his supporters singing and dancing to this song in his memory kind of imply that his death was all part of God's plan? Now that I'm saying it out loud, it does make him sound more Christ-like, so yeah, I'm getting it now. Because Jesus famously preached to hate thy neighbor, especially when there's someone that doesn't look like you.
Jehovah Jireh provider, your way always gets me higher.
As someone who not only was raised Catholic, but genuinely used to buy into this sort of stuff, this modern take on a more gospel hymn is nothing new to me. After all, I've been hearing contemporary Christian music for years, so why shouldn't the TikTokified version eventually take hold? But it doesn't change the fact that this song is pure shit.
When I'm overwhelmed within, from the weight of all my sin.
The fucking mournful first part, where Forrest Frank slowly comes in to tug away at your heartstrings, with that sappy piano and that wheezy lower register, before suddenly fully switching up both his accent and his vocal tone once the spirit finds him.
Then I hear you reply to find out your ways better. Oh.
Seriously, is the implication here that he's speaking in tongues? Huh. Not how I pictured it during Sunday Mass, I can tell you that.
I searched the world till my head hurt.
God, say what you will, but Christian music sure is consistent. The instrumental here is so fucking sanitized that I swear the producer was lobotomized, while also somehow sounding like the royalty-free version of itself. And while the chorus is indeed dumb, the verses are worse.
Lord, I am so thankful for the ways that you bless me. Everything you say making waves like a jet ski.
That about says it all. I'm not about to subject you to any more of it. Worst lyric of the year, anyone? And then the fucking choir comes back in to back him up.
Your ways better.
And oh lordy lord, here comes that key change.
I need you now more than ever.
Hallelujah! Anyone who unironically listens to this has definitely yelled at a waiter in public. I have no way of proving that, and yet somehow you all know I'm right.
Your ways better. My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
Number 9. Speaking of hilariously out-of-place gospel touches,
You can take my life, but you're not. You never get me out alive.
ever since Thunder and Believer, Imagine Dragons has this weird habit of making songs about being the underdogs, in spite of being one of the biggest bands on the planet. And that would be mildly hypocritical, but ultimately forgettable, if Dan Reynolds hadn't spent each progressive year getting more sad sounding.
Only one of us will make it out alive, and it's not you.
And here, his scream is almost cartoonishly over the top.
The cat's not live. You never get me.
It's like listening to a fucking groan tube. Does anyone else remember those?
You never get me out alive.
Also, NLE the Great, formerly NLE Choppa, does absolutely nothing here. He might be credited as the main artist on this, but all he contributes is pushing his voice higher and higher with each passing verse until it's well out of his range.
They say me, they pan when they see me, they run. Problems with Benson.
Okay there, buddy, don't pass out on me. I mean, I'll say this, at least it matches the over-the-top tone. With that ugliest sin beat, the faux gospel vocals, those weedy fake guitars and drum machines, and that chorus. Oh my god, that chorus!
Dare you, say it to my face, I dare you.
The ironic thing is that we never would have considered bullying you until you started to try and act tough, Dan. It just feels like you're always overcompensating, and why should you? After all, look at you. Damn!
I dare you. My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
Number 8.
Sit here with you today and just take accountability.
Kanye spent the last couple of months of this year trying to make up for nearly 3 full years of vitriol, poor decisions, and hate speech. And thankfully, it seems like a lot less people are buying into it this time. I'm not saying that anyone is beyond redemption, but I've seen him apologize and do this song and dance before backsliding hard later on. So no matter how many times I'm asked, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of putting him on this list. That being said, I can certainly hold him partially responsible for this.
Thought I was gonna come back for more, you dumb, dirty bitch.
Yeah, just when you thought that we'd heard the last of Vultures, the fucking Cash Me Outside girl, of all people, decides to sample the biggest hit Carnival for a diss track. Makes sense, I suppose. After all, we the public made this a top 10 hit in Ireland, the US, and multiple other countries. Woo us!
I know you're out, you're reaching out, you need my name for clout. That stanky pussy got you kicked out the Kardashian house.
It is wild to me that we gave this girl a career. Not to take away from her, mind you. After all, she's certainly done more work than most in stretching out those 15 minutes of fame. I'd almost be impressed if she wasn't so obnoxious about it.
This hoe belong all in the zoo, see I don't understand. She put on tiger and killing babies, I seen the sonogram.
Apparently this is the latest in a long line of diss tracks against Alabama Barker, you know, Travis Barker's daughter, as well as Daniel Bregoli's longtime rival, in a beef that I have spent way too long looking into, and I simply cannot care about. God, even the rap beefs of 2025 suck compared to last year's. And this song is the absolute worst of the bunch. Obviously the sample is awful, and her flow is so goddamn awkward, but I think the worst part is how childish and nasty the jabs feel here. It reeks of high school drama, except for some reason it's on a national platform for everyone to hear. God, Nicki would be so proud. And for all the Blackiana jokes that I see online every day, not undeservedly, it's pretty fucked that Daniel Bregoli can co-opt African-American vernacular easily while saying this in the next breath.
Who wants to be black? I don't understand that. I really just can't comprehend it.
Trash human being, if that wasn't clear already.
Oh, I wouldn't tell you what color socks I got on.
My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
Number 7. This film was a huge cultural phenomenon in 2025. And while most of my followers and friends absolutely adore it, I predict that several critics out there may take issue with the film and certain songs on the soundtrack, like Dun 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 and Soda Pop. Not me though. No, I actually liked the film and the soundtrack. It's a lot of fun. Personally, the biggest consequence of the film for me was that I ended up checking out a lot more K-pop than I had in previous years. And boy, when this genre is bad, it's fucking unlistenable.
Yeah, I got the wrist, body moving with a kiss.
You know, I take no pleasure in this. Hell, I actually liked XLove as a group when they first came out, thanks to the genuinely gorgeous One and Only. But the follow-up?
You can choose this do or die.
These individuals are newcomers to the scene. Only debuting in January of this year, promoted as K-pop's first genderless concept, which apparently has less to do with how the individual members identify and more to do with them wanting their music to transcend the boundaries of gender, which is awesome. Unfortunately, the most universal thing about this song is how everyone I've showed it to has reacted to the chorus.
Yeah, I got that wrist.
Now, full disclosure, there's a non-zero chance that this is queer as fuck. There's a lot of provocative and sensual language that heavily implies they're singing to a guy.
Take it slow, boy, I'm gonna kill it all again.
All of which is pretty much fully undone by their use of the word riz, which I personally find impossible to listen to in a sexy context. And it's not the only odd line here.
Body moving with a hiss.
I'm sorry, are you a fucking snake now?
I'm a snake.
I mean, I suppose snakes are used as symbols of sensuality in media, so I think I get it.
Tryna taste your juice, now you're starting to choose to use.
No, I'd prefer to have a say in this. And all of that would have been bad enough. But it's not just the hook. I hate the way that this sounds. Seriously, what in the keyboard preset fuckery is this? The snare feels so goddamn thin, and the revving car engine and the bed springs make the mix feel so cheap. Again, I do recommend checking out this group's other stuff, but this was just too grating for words, and certainly that word.
Yeah, I got that wrist.
Phew, I begged for mercy from the K-pop overlords, but you guys have chilled out by now, right? We're all grown up, we've all matured, we're not going to send death threats to each other over this, right? Man, had I known how this audience was gonna grow, I would have put Stray Kids on this list years ago.
Merry Christmas.
Jingle, jingle, jingle all the way. Repeat them and kiss. Watch me say it. My little soda pop. You're all I can think of.
Number 6. My favorite show growing up was Doctor Who. My favorite comedy series was Only Fools and Horses. I have binged all of Would I Lie to You, 8 out of 10 Cats, Peep Show, Taskmaster. My point is, I know and I get British humor, and I do appreciate it. And yet this still almost made me doubt everything I thought I understood.
I'm just being myself, but to everybody else I'm hookers. So maybe I'm hookers.
I've never been a big Olly Murs fan, but fucking yikes. And for the record, yes, he is British, he's from Essex. I'm sure you all knew that, but after hearing this, I really had to go and make sure, just so I knew that this wasn't a really over-the-top and offensive caricature of British stereotypes. Though if you are offended by this, I don't blame you.
Hello. They say when I was little I was loco.
There's a theme forming on this list, but why the fuck does it sound like that?
Now I'm a grown-up, but most of the time I'm a donut.
The horns feel like they're going for this big brass band effect on the more camp side of musical theatre, but the backing drums feel like they're being clipped by garden shears, and the synthesizers just keep adding to this downright kooky vibe. And I think that's the idea, that Olly Murs is this crazy clown, meaning the instrumental here is actually carnival themed. Take notes, Kanye. Yeah, actually, never mind.
I'm never faking. Full of baked beans and a bit of bacon. Lovely.
If half the things he says on this song are true, he must be the most boring man in existence. Which may explain his insistence that he's just a silly guy who definitely has a personality.
It's the things that I think in my head are coming out my mouth instead.
God, he won't stop mugging and metaphorically winking at the camera like a jackass. It's so annoying. And that's before his best Pat Monahan from Train impression on the bridge.
If like me you're figuring out why you don't fit in.
I appreciate that in 2025, he might have wanted to inject a bit of fun into the world, but the fucking millennial irony that oozes from every inch of this sours the effect completely. The only part that I remotely believe is this.
Lately, everybody asks what I'm taking. Mr. El Natural, I'm never faking.
I have noticed this growing trend in critiquing body image on the internet again. And while, sure, you have every right to express that opinion and make your jokes, when it comes to directly calling people out to their faces on their life choices, maybe don't. If for no other reason that, if you do, they'll be tempted to make more music like this.
I'm just being myself, but to everybody else I'm bonkers. My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
Number 5. Over the past few years, I've gotten much better at calling out who will and won't be a star. So it's a long time since I've gotten something this wrong.
I want you to love me like it's 1965.
You know, I liked Pray when it came out. A bit shrill, sure, but as a random one-off song from an artist that I definitely wasn't going to hear from again, it was alright. Besides, the worst part was the hook, and there was no way that anyone was going to encourage her to lean even further into that vocal register, right?
I want you to want me.
Oh dear.
I think I give up a few rides if you would just love me.
To be clear, I know that this song caused some controversy when it came out, with a lot of people calling it sexist and terrible, particularly with the music video and lines like these.
I might get a little slap, but you wouldn't hit me on Snapchat. I would be 20, and it'd be acceptable for you to be 40, and that is fucked up, I know.
Guys, it's a fucking parody. It's not funny, but it's clearly making fun of this trad wife trend that's been on the rise the last couple of years.
But at least you wouldn't drive off before I get in the fucking door, you fucking fuck yeah.
No, you're right. I'm sure that Jess Murph wants an abusive 60s husband, twice her age, who's always cheating on her and never at home. And obviously, we're well past men being fucking useless nowadays. Why should she want to make a song about it today? All of that's fine to me. It's just a real shame that it had to be sung by her.
I want you to love me.
God, why is she doing this? She does not have to sound like that. I mean, listen to the outro. It's like she's taunting my poor little ears. Also, why does the production sound like Earned It if a fucking keyboard cat was in charge of the bass levels? Not the first or the last song on this list to sound like shit, not by a long shot. But the way her bass drops and her voice rises on the hook is kind of like my ears are being sodomized.
I want you to love me.
Worst moment of pop music in 2025. And the crazy thing is, after all that, I'd still rather listen to this than that song with Jelly Roll.
I got a thing for the wild ones. I got a thing for the wild ones. It's like
Ew.
if you would just love me like it's 1965.
My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
Number 4. Coldest take of my career, but this is her worst album. I rarely agree with the critical consensus when it comes to Taylor Swift, but this album barely bothers to live up to its title, and as Taylor's triumphant return to pop music, it's shockingly lacking in the hook department, with more time spent describing her fiancé's dick than the theatre stage. And while I had multiple songs that could have highlighted the awful decisions made behind the production of this album, instead, I opted to choose the song whose lyrics pissed me off the most.
It's actually romantic. I really gotta hand it to you.
Now, believe it or not, no, I'm not just putting this pathetic excuse for a diss track on this list out of blind defense of Charli XCX. Yes, I adored Brat, but outside of that, I wouldn't call myself a super fan or anything. But context is key, because Actually Romantic was a direct response to this.
This one girl taps my insecurities. Don't know if it's real or if I'm spiraling.
Sympathy as a Knife is a painfully honest song about Charli's insecurity surrounding, well, many things. But one of those is a girl she used to hang around with backstage, which, knowing they both had relationships with members of the 1975, fans were very quick to trace back to Taylor. And that, combined with a lot of behind-the-scenes drama that had been building over the years, all culminated in the worst calculated decision of Taylor Swift's career.
Wrote me a song saying it makes you sick to see my face.
Sympathy as a Knife was not an attack, but Taylor clearly saw it differently, because this doesn't just get personal, it does so in a really catty, ugly way.
No man has ever loved me like you do.
I love a bit of pettiness, but the smile here feels less triumphant and more strained, once again reeking of high school popular girl energy.
And I know you think it comes off vicious, but it's precious, adorable.
See, she decided to take the approach of, oh, you're so in love with me here, laying it on so thick that it quickly gets extremely sickening. It's not only condescending as all fuck, but even the opening lines are just so mean and not in a fun way.
I heard you call me boring Barbie when the coke's got you brave.
Apart from anything else, it just makes her come across as incredibly thin-skinned.
But it's actually sweet, all the time you've spent on me.
Again, this is a response to this.
I'm embarrassed to have it beneath the sympathy, 'cause I couldn't even be out if I tried.
How many times has your boyfriend said, what are we always talking about? It's actually sweet.
Gods, I thought that Look What You Made Me Do was bad, but no, I think this genuinely pisses me off more. It's this slimy, forced song that just fills me with secondhand embarrassment every time it comes on.
It's kinda making me wait.
The way she says is the absolute low of her career. It truly is Taylor's version of Drake's The Hard Part 6. A diss track that misses the point entirely, makes her come across as the absolute worst to all but her die-hard fans, and in my opinion, her worst song to date.
My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
Number 3. Wow, talk about two terrible fucking musicians. True representatives of the worst of their respective genres. So what if they teamed up?
But that's how I like. Marry me, kiss me, round and round like an exorcism. It really turns me on.
Yeah, what if post-metalcore and trap country came together to make a leering, shouty tune all about their kinds of women? Because after all, if there's one thing I wanted to hear more about from these two, it was their sexual fantasies.
That's how I like.
The bellowing on that hook barely registers as music to me. It's just a solid wall of compressed noise, as both performers combine to absolutely blow out their mics and the mix as a whole.
I fell in love with a crazy bitch. She fucked me good, she's a lunatic.
I could already barely handle Hardy's plastic fake guitars and forced twang, or the stuttering breakbeats and synths and scream rapping of Ronnie Radke, so hearing them both do each other's signature move is almost wholesome. As you'd expect from these two, the sentiments described on this so-called love song are far from poetic, but they are vivid. I would say that this is kind of like listening to that really drunk friend that you've kind of been thinking of cutting off for his problematic behavior, ramble on about how women are the problem as his alcohol-soaked breath fills your lungs. But here, there are two of them. And also, if the rest of this didn't already cross a line for you, this might. Should I even be surprised that these two show no regard for mental health issues?
She got me by my balls, she's a pain in my ass.
Hardy is 35 and Ronnie is 41. And on this, they really sound like it. Two pathetic middle-aged men who have no bitches, pardon the quote, and are concealing their hurt through some of the most unlistenable garbage, music for the types of divorced dads that are entirely at fault. And speaking of which...
My little soda pop, you're all I can think of.
It's been a problem ever since I was a little boy.
How can one man have really fallen so far?
I like pretty girls. Girls, 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 girls. I love pretty girls. Girls, girls.
I don't need to tell you why this is here, right? I mean, half the comments on the music video are already calling it the worst song of 2025. And for the majority of this year, I found it hard to disagree.
I'm about to do some investing. I'll spend it on you and your bestie. You and your twin on a jet ski.
It co-opts a mid-2010s hip-hop beat that even DJ Mustard would have thrown out back then, for one of the most dated and stilted flows that I have ever heard Will Smith attempt.
Picture perfect, I swear you perfection. I like you, 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 and you.
And all of that would be bad enough. But much like our last couple of entrants, Will has something he wants to get off his chest here.
I like pretty girls. Girls, 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 girls.
I thought that being shouted at by two grown men sucked as a pickup method, but somehow I think those two might actually have more success. And that's kind of nuts, right? This is Will Smith, Big Willie, the Fresh Prince, a man who raised a generation and until a number of years ago had more goodwill built up than almost any other living celebrity. But through a series of very poor decisions...
None of that ringing a bell.
Everything on this planet has evolved to kill humans.
Ah, that's hot.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
He sure did squander all of that. Which leaves us with a man with pretty much nothing left but his corniness. And even that loses its charm when you're nearly 60, Will.
I like pretty girls. Girls, 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 girls.
God, the beat on this hook just gets so eerie. It sounds like it's preparing to leap at me from out of the shadows. And it really doesn't help the creepy vibes that Will is giving off here either.
I love pretty girls. Girls, 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 girls.
Something about him looking at me dead in the eye and saying, "I like pretty girls," terrifies me. That's what a man who ranks girls by the softness of their skin says. It's really unsettling, especially coming from the former king of cool. And the rest of it is some of the cringiest bars that I have heard since Eminem's Revival.
Actually just shit on my last chick and she has what my ex lacks.
And at least M had imagination. Will gives up after about one single verse and starts spouting inane nonsense like this.
Head, shoulders, knees, toes, hold up, wait, pose.
Sorry, I think I blacked out there for a second. And then there's the terrifyingly persistent outro, where he genuinely sounds like he's losing it, in the most lazily written way possible.
Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me. Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me. Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me. Ain't too many women ain't pretty to me.
It's such a tragic downfall for a man who once brought us such classic hits as Gettin' Jiggy and Summertime. And that fact almost upset me enough to call it the worst song of the year, but not quite. And before we get to what is, here are a few dishonorable mentions.
I don't need no money to be filthy.
I really don't try to hate Ella, but this is an even more soulless folk-adjacent cash grab than Anne-Marie's Unhealthy. How is that possible? Sexy Red really should be fun, but she just keeps annoying me. What a shame. Of all the comeback moves the Chainsmokers could have made, this really was the worst one. K-pop should be many things, but it should never be boring. Who the fuck okayed this nothing burger? Their worst single. Fuck, even my favorite bands aren't safe in 2025. Screw this year!
You told without me and nothing.
So this is that Ian kid you all hate, huh? Valid.
We both play these games, but I wish we could make this shit fit. I'm just no good at Tetris.
Another year, another awful G-Eazy song. At least some things never change. Genuinely unlistenable, but to a degree where it almost comes back round to me liking it again.
I want to meet your madre, pay my respects to your padre, mi amor.
Too many good jokes have already been made about this, so here's one of my favorites.
It's probably A minor.
I want to meet your madre, pay my respects to your padre.
God, I was crying when I first saw that. Well played. Same thing for this. Who the fuck told her she could get away with this? Also, did you girl boss too close to the sun is my favorite phrase to casually drop in conversation nowadays.
They're the ones with matching scars.
My little soda pop. You're all I can think of.
Number 1. For most of this year, Pretty Girls was my pick for the worst song of the year. Once a song has dug its claws into that spot, it is very hard for me to change my mind on it. And yet, only about a week ago, midway through writing this segment in fact, it suddenly hit me. This is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. Every time I hear it, it genuinely puts me into a terrible mood. And weirdest of all, I know for a fact that it has fans. Or at least defenders, as a whole host of my friends have insisted that it's not that bad. And so, perhaps purely out of protest, this had to be number 1.
'Cause it feels so mystical, magical, oh baby. 'Cause once you know my love is so.
What could you possibly want me to say about this? I mean, I'm assuming you have ears if you're watching this video. You should know why this is number 1. So why are so many of us pretending that this is okay?
There's nothing colder than your shoulder when you're dragging me along like you do.
My god, Benson really heard all the critiques for Beautiful Things and Slow It Down and Cry and said, "This is only a fraction of my power." This isn't just ugly, it is a fundamentally broken song that utterly repulsed me on first listen. I mean, sure, there's the hook, where it sounds like he's recording it mid-castration, but it was actually the pre-chorus that sent me over the edge.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like.
I can't quite describe what's so ungodly terrible about this, but it genuinely makes me gag with disgust every time it plays. Maybe it's the demonic multi-tracking, maybe it's just the piano backing him up that sounds like it was tuned for only bats and dogs to hear. Maybe it's because he sounds like he's fucking jizzing his pants every time he sings it. The point is, it's the worst sounding thing that I've heard in years. Yeah, big reveal, nothing else this year even came close. Sorry, Taylor and Jess. And that's before the rest of the off-key rubbery production here, where every single element sounds like it was specifically designed to sound like an LSD-induced cartoon they play in the waiting room for hell. I said before that Benson tends to overpower his mixes with that big, unruly voice of his, but this is like if every single dial on the keyboard was turned up past 11 to Benson fucking Boone. Overproduction does not begin to cover it. Fuck does anyone listen to this without automatically throwing their phones across a room, which is legitimately what I was first tempted to do when I heard this song. Also, while we're on the topic, the lyrics are awful too. A manipulative plea to yet another girl who isn't interested in him, where he insists that they're getting closer every day, and that he intends to keep wearing her down. After all, listen to what his love is going to feel like.
Moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans.
Regardless of this being yet another song from an incredibly pushy guy about how you just need to give a nice guy like him a chance, if you tried to woo me and played this, I would think that there was something wrong with me.
Once you know my love is so mystical, magical.
I will often try to hear out people when they defend songs, but in this case, no, shut up. I simply cannot fathom how anyone could like this, let alone how it became a fucking radio hit for multiple weeks across multiple countries. From the beginning, I think I knew that this song belonged here, but I didn't want to admit it. After all, in 2025, I was already fighting with so many strangers, I didn't want to do that with my friends. But after a year of it unexpectedly jumping out at me in the wild, watching it spend way more time than it deserved in multiple global top 10s, and having to then listen to it on repeat while writing this script, it all became clear. To me, calling Benson Boone's Mystical Magical the worst song of 2025 makes more sense than most anything from this wretched year. Absolutely nauseating track on every level, and I hope to never, ever have to hear it again. And as for you, Benson, I hope you backflip so fast that you collapse in on yourself like a dying star, as that would still result in a more pleasant black hole than this track.
Mystical, magical, baby, it's mystical.